Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we are just a couple weeks away from the drop of set 13 here in North America. The pre-release actually starts next week as well, so maybe a little bit behind. The expansion sets almost always like mess me up kind of schedule-wise for releasing content, but really excited to talk about the ShineGreymon archetype, and an archetype that's nowhere near to new for this card game. It's probably like one of the oldest and most supported archetypes in this game. It's been around since BT2. It's a lot different from when it was in BT2, and it was more of kind of like a control deck in a lot of ways, like a mono yellow control deck. And we also kind of had like the red ShineGreymon for a little bit, but it is definitely transitioned into something completely different. So we're going to talk about pretty much just all of the new cards for the line. It got support in BT13, EX4, and BT12, so pretty much every piece of support it got from there, as well as we're going to have an example deck list at the end. So I also want to talk about real quick for this video and kind of how it's going to differ from Japan is that here in North America, we will be getting the Ace cards on the release of BT13, and it was literally just confirmed that these Ace cards will be legal for North American events. So there's only two. There's a Metal Garurumon and this War Greymon. This can Digivolve for 3 on top of a level 5 with Greymon stamp, so this can be in this archetype as well. So you could put it in there, and spoilers, it's in as a one of in my build. So it is kind of neat for that sense. If you guys also don't know about Ace stuff, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking about making a video for it, just kind of going over it in general, even though it's kind of more of a BT14 thing, and we get kind of more support or like the official release of these cards in Star Decks 15 and 16, but it's just kind of it's an interesting thing. And then also we have the physical training, which is kind of like the new version of Delay. Every color gets this, but these are going to be BT14 box toppers, but this was around for BT13 into the Japan archetype, so we're not going to put them in the end build, but spoilers again, there's going to be 2 red men boosts, so if you actually have like the red trainings, you can do them use them there too. So the big difference is that this can find tamers, which is huge, especially for a deck like this that loves to use tamers and stuff. So it's something that's a little bit different for that one. And then the delay effect lets you go up your chain faster, which is essentially as good as just getting the 2 memory that you already used. So anyways, that is kind of going into there. And to actually start off, we do have Koromons, and obviously this is a red and yellow build in a lot of ways. So you can choose to use red or yellow Koromons. I do think you have to use Koromons in a lot of ways, just because you do have the, all your Agumons do Digivolve for free on top of a Koromon. But if you were to go red, I'd probably still go with the draw Koromon in the middle there. I think that's still good. And we do need to get some cycle, because we do need to find some of our tamers a lot of the time. And then also, if you like yellow, the BT12 one actually is pretty good. When one of your yellow or red tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1k DP for the turn. So that can help for some deletion, kind of like some, trading into things correctly. So which is almost just like it's the same as like the red Koromon in a lot of ways. If you give something minus 1k, it's the same as your thing having plus 1k. So anyways, those are the eggs. I think you normally like to do the red build, but or at least red base, but it's kind of minor between the two, to be honest, compared to like a lot of other decks and stuff. So but going into the Agumons, we do have these boys here. So pretty much we're just going to go, so it's BT12 through BT12 through BT13 for the cards. But we have the BT12 Agumon. This one's pretty good on play. Real top 4 add up to 1 Greymon and 1 Marcus among them, and Marcus is pretty much the only tamer you run for these. You can splash in some other red and yellow ones, but Marcus is pretty good. Also has the inheritable of when one of your tamers gets suspended, you get minus 2k to something once per turn. We also do have the EX4 Agumon, which is generically not as good as I've seen it. It is kind of nice. It does have like a star to main phase. If you have a red or yellow tamer in play, you get to gain a memory, which does mean like it does have synergy with your Marcus tamer. And if this isn't back and like your first chain gets deleted or something, you can push this up, get the additional memory, and kind of go up. And also the inheritable, you get to draw a card once per turn when one of your tamers gets suspended. So that's kind of nice in a lot of ways. We also do have the Agumon from BT13. So main, once per turn, one of your Marcus Daemons is also treated as a 3k DP Digimon for that turn and can't Digivolve. So you can just kind of move it up, and then you can use it for those effects. So even like the Marcuses normally need to like at the start of the main phase. So being able to transition it yourself is nice. And then the kind of the same thing with the inheritable is your turn once per turn. When one of your red or yellow Digimon or tamers becomes suspended, you can delete something with 3k DP or less. Which there's a lot of DP based destruction, or a lot of giving stuff minus DP, so that synergizes a lot there. All right, into the ShineGreymons, we do have the BT12 one. If you don't have a Marcus in play, you get to play one, so that's kind of nice. And it's a Digivolve for 2 with an Agumon and Dinosaur in its traits. So we can play, spoilers, the right over there, the Agu X here. I think he's great. He can Digivolve on top of all of these for 0. It's more cycle, and it still is a Dinosaur, so you don't really lose out on anything. So if you are running the red base, I do recommend running a couple copies of Agu X. I think it's very helpful there. But anyways, in the GeoGray, and then kind of like the inheritables are pretty much the same across all of these as the Agumon. So minus 2k, drawing a card, and giving something, deleting something 3k or less. So, but also the kind of the main part too. So the GeoGray, same, you get a memory, so that can help you get enough memory to start your turn. But then there's also the GeoGray. So when Digivolving, search your security stack and reveal one red or yellow tamer, and play without paying its memory cost. Then play a card. If you played something, you get to recover and then shuffle. So being able to essentially play a tamer from your security is great, and also being able to see what's in there. You can whiff, which is still, you get some information with it, which is innate. And just like GeoGray are either one, like the same kind of thing. Like the BT12 and BT13 ones are generically a little bit better, but it's just like, oh, do I have a tamer in play? No. Or do I have a tamer in hand? No. Then I can play this. And GeoGray also can play a Marcus from your security, even if you don't have, or even if you already have one in play, unlike the BT12 GeoGray. So that's something as well. Going into the Rise Gray, we do have a couple ones. The EX4 one for this one actually does not, is just actually bad. So I would not play that one for sure. Like the other ones you can kind of splash in to help your ratios, but this one, not worth. I mean, give one of your something minus 4k when Digivolving is neat, but like not as impactful as these other two. So we have the BT12 GeoGray when Digivolving. If you have a red or yellow tamer in play, you get to gain 1 memory. So it's a Digivolve for 3 off GeoGray, and then it's a Digivolve for technically 2 if you have that. Additionally, there are some Marcuses that help you Digivolve for free, which means you can get the memory back there as well. Also, all turns once per turn, when one of your tamers is deleted, place 1 Marcus face down. Place 1 Marcus from your trash at the top of your security face down. My apologies. So that's kind of the same thing, and the inheritable is the same for both this and the BT13 one. Being able to recycle your Marcuses mean you get to put them in your security, which means that you not only have a lot of defensive properties, but that means if they are trying to attack you again, you can get your Marcuses back in there. It's the recursion's really good in a lot of ways. We also do have, since we're putting them back into our security, it just means that the BT13 one right here does help you get the recursion there too, which is nice. We also have the BT13 Rise Gray of the same thing, but when Digivolving, you just go play a Marcus for free, which is great. And also all turns once per turn, when one of your red or yellow tamers is deleted, you get to just place a Marcus from your trash face down. So it's pretty much the same thing. I think it's just like the translation difference between the two of them, but they pretty much have the same all turns and inheritables, which are both just very, very good. So that helps you out. I think the BT13 one is just better. Being able to play tamers is better than gaining the memory, but we can go from there. And also we can see that side. The Rise Gray X is also a pretty good contender for this. Being able to be Digivolved on top of any of these, which is great, and then you get the additional benefits. I think it's worth it in the long run. So. And then we have the newer ShineGreys. Obviously, there's some older ones that we saw earlier, but we do have the BT12 one, which I think is still generically the better one for this kind of newer archetype. But Digivolve for 3 on top of Rise Gray, if you in its name, so that's great. When Digivolving, for each red and yellow tamer you have in play, one of your opponent's Digimon and all of your opponent's security gets minus 3k for the turn. And also your turn, all of your Marcus Daemons in play get a plus 3k and security attack plus 1. So you can just kind of do some really good punching there. We also have the ShineGreymon though from BT13. So start of main and when Digivolving, one of your Marcus is treated as a 3k DP or a Digimon that can't Digivolve and has blocker into the end of the opponent's turn. So maybe a little bit more defensive with that one, but it is nice for having the flexibility there. But also all turns once per turn, when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k DP for the turn. So I think the old ShineGray one from BT12 is a little bit more defensive. The BT13 one, swap it. So this one's more defensive. The other one a little bit more aggressive. But I think they're both good and have some valid points for either. I think the BT12 one just generically better for what the deck wants to do in the long run, but both are definitely great. All right, and then we also have these modes. So we have the Ruin mode from EX4, and I think that one's just kind of neat. I don't think you play it as much. You can probably tech one copy or two. It is just a Digivolve for 4 on top of a Shine Gray, but when Digivolving and on deletion until the end of your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5k, and that's a blanket 5k, so as I've understood. So being able to use that, and it's just like generically was there. So even if they play like a rookie, that's a 3k, it just immediately gets minus 5k and gets deleted, so something there. And also if you're able to stack both these on the same turn, you can just give everything a blanket 10k, so your opponent just can't push anything up most of the time. So also end of attack, delete this Digimon and one of your opponent's Digimon and recover 1. And then if you have a tamer play, hatch 1 Digi egg to an empty space in your breeding area. So if you're able to play this guy and keep it your turn, you can win Digivolve on deletion, attack in, get a recovery 1, pop something, and then start your next chain. And I think that's very strong. So if you can get the memory for it, it's very good, but it is asking for a little bit of a lot. And we also have the burst mode, which again I think is better for kind of the more aggressive playstyle we're seeing. But it's a burst Digivolve, which is not really a keyword, but kind of is. It's 0 on top of a specific Digimon, so ShineGreymon, and you also have to return a Marcus to your hand. And then at the end of the turn, you get the trash the top card. So you get this, you go back to your regular mode, and you get that's pretty much it. But the returning the Marcus to your hand doesn't really mean a lot because it has when Digivolving, you may play one Marcus Daemon from your hand without paying its memory cost. The tamer played by this effect is also treated as a 12k Digimon that can't Digivolve and gains a rush until the end of the turn. So you just get to cycle it back, which is really, really nice. Also, your turn once per turn when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So that's pretty much giving that tamer security attack +1, and you just in jamming for the first one. So if your opponent has one security left, you can Digivolve into this for free. You go bring your Marcus back, play it again, attack with it, trash the top card in security, and then you just get that last hit for the 12k. So very good game ender, and you guys are going to be very I don't know. It's very, very good. It's very, very strong. So those are all the Digimon I want to talk about. We do also have some Marcuses. So there's 3. These are literally all the Marcuses that are in the game right now. And it's really funny that the one that on the far end, the BT4 one, is the only one that looks like it's punching, even though like the other 2 are kind of known for punching, especially like the middle one. The middle one's definitely the puncher. So, but having something that the game memory is kind of nice for it. And it's fine if you want another, like if you want like a 9th Marcus, if you just find like you still don't find Marcus enough, he's fine. Like he still has enough synergy with how the rest of the deck works. But we also have start your main phase for this middle one for BT12. You've probably seen this before, but if you have a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon is named by paying 1 memory, you could move this up as like a 3k Digimon that can't Digivolve. But also when this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon may Digivolve into a yellow card with Greymon in its name from your hand without paying its memory cost. So being able to do a free Digivolve is fantastic. That also means you can like Digivolve into Shine Gray Ruin mode and keep it your turn. So like that kind of effect, but also just anything for free. So you can go into this Rise Greymon on the far left, and you can get like the memory back, the one that you already invested for what you're doing, which is great. Or like the Rise Gray, and you can play like another Marcus. Like there's just a lot of good stuff you can do with it. You also just go and like to like the BT12 Shine Gray, which means that it gets like the plus 3k, it gets security attack +1, and then the minus 3k to everything on the board for at least 1. So like it's like a plus 6k kind of thing. So it's like a 9k already. And then another, if you already have another tamer, essentially it becomes like a 12k kind of stuff. We also have the new Marcus on the far right as well. Start your turn if your memory is 2 or less, you get to set 3. On play, you can suspend this tamer. And all turns when this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3k for the turn. Then if you have a Digimon with Agu or Gray in its name, you get to gain 1 memory. So on attack, you get to gain a memory. You also give something minus 3k. This also is fantastic out of security, which even if it's not in your starting security, you have so many effects to recycle it into your security that you can get a memory back and give something minus 3, so you can like pop a rookie. It's a very flexible card too. Obviously, I think the BT12 one is a little bit better for like the aggression stuff, but there's a lot of utility in this one right here. So. And then lastly, we're just going to talk about a couple options. We have Sunrise Buster, which is busted, which is why we can only have it at 1. And then Shining Blast and Final Shining Burst. They're just okay. They also play Marcuses. I think they're a little expensive for what they do, to be honest. Like this one just gives minus 2k for each. So like if you have 3 tamers out, you give minus 6k to 3 things, which is good for like when BT2 was around and the archetype started, but not great for now. Also, Final Shining Burst is give something minus 12k, and then you can play a Marcus from your hand, which is good, right? And then you could also like in conjunction play this Marcus and on the far right, and then you can use it to give something technically minus 15k and get the memory back. But it's also just, it's a little expensive for what it is, and it's just not just not worth it. I think if I was to add, I'm definitely playing Sunrise Buster. I think that's fine. Shining Burst, maybe 1 or 2 copies if you're really feeling it, but you already have to play a lot of Tamers, and it can be kind of bricky, and this is definitely something that can brick as well. So anyways, that's all the cards I want to individually talk about, and let's go into the deck list. And here's my current ShineGreymon deck list, and if I make any changes, I'll make changes onto this deck list too, which is in the description if you guys care about it, but it's pretty much just all the cards we just talked about, nothing too crazy on top of it. I am running the Agu X in a lot of ways. I think this card is very good in a lot of ways and helps you out there too. We also are playing the Rise Gray X as well, and just being able to use the Wind Digivolving to play 1 red or yellow Tamer card from your hand without paying its memory cost. Then if Rise Gray or X antibodies in the Digimon's Digivolution cards, one of your Digimon gets minus 2k for each red or yellow Tamer you have in play, and then your turn for each Tamer you have in play, this gets plus 1k. So this can also just kind of, this is like a level like 5.5 a lot of the time. It can be chunky, it can trade into level 6s very easily, or go kind of wide and get some good clears. It's very, very good. So I think that's nice for you in the long run. And then we are leaning more towards the ShineGreymon from BT12 again, being able to use this for like really aggression and not really caring. I mean, you do get like a lot of chances for board control as well with this deck, but you just kind of like mill through their security as fast as you can. So I think this is a good card to kind of help there. Ruin or Burst Mode, very good. And then we are playing the One of War Gray just to say that we can. I think it's nice there. So it's something I've been trying out. If you guys don't like it, just take it out. It's fine. 1 Sunrise Buster, and then also 2 Red Mem Boosts, which can be the trainings, but again, I don't think we're getting the trainings until BT14, so it's going to be kind of dead there. But and then also just our Digi-Eggs are the draw Koromons for what we want there. There are just a couple, like, and I kind of alluded to this at the beginning of the video. This is like one of the most supported archetypes in the entire game, and there's just so many like offshoot cards that you can tech in just because it is Greymon. Like, this, the fact this is all Agumon Greymon, that technically is like, oh, it's only this line, but it's not hard locked into it. You just have to like pay 1 extra memory sometimes. So if you want some of the older jank, you can. I do kind of like the GeoGreymon that can play from security. It's just sometimes if you're behind on board, you can play this and then you can go up your chain for free a lot of the time. So that's very good. Rise Greymon, very good for playing Tamers for really cheap memory. And if you're playing him, then you can play like the Agumon that with Digiburst, which means you can put it back to your hand, which means you get another Agumon to go up your chain next turn. So I think that's all very good in its own way. So something to kind of meddle with. But this is, I think, a very basic build, but it's also very effective because they pretty much just made all the cards very synergistic by themselves, and not a lot of creative deck building needed. There's a lot of ratios that you guys can choose and pick and choose. So if you don't like these ratios, go and make your own. But I think this is still a strong deck, and you're going to see a lot of it. You're going to see a whole lot of it in BT13. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what other archetypes you guys want me to cover, and that will be it for me. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.